Hello, I'm Jim Kochak. This tape is the second tape in a series of videos that we're making to help you improve your speed, quality, and technique. This particular tape deals with a Honda Accord rear window. We'll be doing this window with 2 pieces of film. Before you begin, you'll want to assemble all the tools you'll need for this job. Here's a list of the tools we'll be using. A sprayer tank, Johnson's baby shampoo, a blow dryer, a tape measure, a putty knife or a white card, an Olfa knife, a mild scrubby pad, a smoothie, and some clean towels. Tim Goodwin of Car Shack Glass Tinting will be doing this demonstration for us. Some models of Hondas have a fold-down back seat. In this case, you would not have to remove them. The Honda we have for this demonstration, however, does not. So Tim will be removing the seat. Once he's got the seat out, he's going to work towards getting any obstacles out of the rear window. He'll be removing the speakers, the package tray, and their third brake light. There's 3 screws in each speaker. We've removed them ahead of time, so you don't have to sit here and watch us do it. There's 2 other obstacles in the rear window. There's a plug for the defogger line on each side of the window. You want to unplug these plugs, and when you get to the cleaning stage, clean around the plugs really well. There's a factory sealant placed around these plugs, and when you begin to tint the windows, small flakes of that will get into your tint unless you clean it thoroughly. Once the third brake light's removed, you can remove the package tray fairly easily. There's 2 clips in the front and 4 along the back. By slipping your hands underneath the package tray, you can pop these clips loose. Once you remove the package tray, you'll want to lay a sheet or some towels in the back window to prevent the water from running into the trunk. Now begin by wetting the inside of the window with the sprayer tank. Some people prefer a spray bottle, but we prefer a spray tank because it has a higher pressure and it washes away the dirt more efficiently. Clean the window with a mild scrubby pad. You'll want to use a side-to-side motion to remove any dirt or debris that's on the defogger lines. Most Japanese cars have formaldehyde in the upholstery as a preservative, and that will evaporate and leave a residue on the window. You want to make sure you remove all of that in the cleaning process. Be sure to clean around the defogger plugs and remove the sealant that the factory puts on there, because again, it will leave small sediment in your tint if you don't clean it off. It's a yellowish residue. It's very obvious to see. Once you've finished scrubbing the window, you want to squeegee it off. Between each squeegee, we suggest you wipe the squeegee on a clean, lint-free towel to prevent recontaminating the window. Once you've got the window squeegeed, you'll be able to see if you've missed any spots where there's a cloudy area where the formaldehyde or other residue is settled on the window. In a smoker's car, you may have to do this process twice. It's very important to be sure and make the black borders clean. You want to check for any hair, residue, or felt off the package tray. Be sure and put plenty of pressure on your squeegee so you don't leave any smears or streaks on the windows. With a clean towel, be sure and wipe the pillars on both sides of the window off. Usually there's a large amount of dust located on these pillars. Also, wipe along the top edge of the window to make sure there's no sediment there either. Once you've done this, you'll want to clean the outside of the window to remove any road grime. Once you've cleaned the window, you'll want to measure it. Because of the extreme curve of this window, you'll need an assistant to flex the tape measure to get an accurate reading. Most of these windows run between 60 and 63 inches. This is an 86 Accord. Its rear window is 62 inches. Pull a piece of film 20 inches wide by 62 long. Re-wet the rear window. Once you've re-wet it, you'll need to apply the film to the outside for the basic trimming. Place the film on the window and align it so that the top corners have approximately 1/8 of an inch overlap. Once you've got your overlap correct, you'll want to squeegee down the film to anchor it in place for the trimming. Now, using your hand, you can work most of the fingers and bubbles to the edges so you can get an accurate trim. With this done, you'll want to begin trimming. Trim off the extra film along the bottom of the window. The window curves up and the film curves down. You'll want to trim that off to prevent false fingering, which is where the film will curve because of the extra film. When trimming this edge, you'll want to trim in the first set of painted dots. The reason for this is because of the large curve in the glass, you have a larger surface area on the outside than you do have on the inside. When you trim the top edge, you'll want to trim approximately 1/8 inch into the black border, leaving yourself plenty of overlap to compensate for the curve once you get to the inside. Again, here we see Tim trimming right into the dots. Be careful when you're doing this. You don't want to scratch the glass. Put only enough pressure on your alpha blade to cause the film to be cut and not the window. Trim out the defogger plug. You'll have one vertical cut and two horizontal cuts. Trim right along the painted edge. Once you've got it cut, remove this tab. Repeat the same step on the other side. Now your film's ready for installation. Place this piece of film on your work table or plexiglass. We use a piece of vertical plexiglass. It's easier for peeling the film and any dirt or dust runs off. Before you peel your film, you'll want to clean off any water that you've left on the outside of the window during your trimming process. This helps when you're inside to be able to see where there is any dirt that may have gotten in your film. Before peeling your film, you want to go to the inside and re-squeegee the window in case any dust or debris from the interior of the vehicle has gotten on your window. Again, it's very important to be sure the edges are clean, especially the painted black borders. With that done, you may begin to peel your film. We like to peel our film on a vertical surface. It's easier to rinse away any dust, and as you peel your liner, the static electricity that's created becomes neutralized by the water running down the film. Because of the size of this piece, it's usually necessary to have an assistant help you install it. Have your assistant wet down the window on the inside of the car. With that task completed, begin the installation. Be careful, and this is the crucial part where you don't want to crease the film. Once you have the film on the window, you want to begin to work out any fingers or large bubble areas that have been created. Be sure you have plenty of film overlapped all the way around the black border. Once you've got it positioned, you'll want to moisten the backing. Begin squeegeeing from the center out. You'll want to squeegee the whole sides at the same time. Working the film with your hands and following with the squeegee seems to be the best technique for these type of curves. Working the film from the center to the edges, you want to work any fingers that you have into a horizontal position so that they may be cut along the defogger lines. Now with your hands, you'll want to work the fingers up above the first defogger line. Because of the curve of the glass, the first defogger line seam will need to be trimmed on the top of the first defogger line. Follow the same steps for this side of the window. Remember to work the whole piece of film. Don't squeegee just along the top all the way across. You want to work the whole piece at the same time so that the film will go to the contour of the glass. Sometimes you'll have a finger pop up right in the center. If you push it up, it will go away. Now work the rest of this around to a horizontal finger. Squeegee out any excess water. By smoothing out the film with your hand, you take the lower risk of creasing the film. Now that you've got your fingers lined up, begin to cut along the top of the first defogger line. You'll want to trim approximately 1 inch past the pointed part of the finger. Remember, whenever trimming relief cuts, to always trim between the finger and the defogger line that you're using. With the cut made, you'll want to try to scoot the finger down so that it overlaps the width of the defogger line. Sometimes you'll need to wet the window again to help the film slide. Once you've smoothed it out, you'll want to squeegee the water out. Sometimes an edge will stick and you'll need to cut it loose with your knife. Anytime you peel the film back, you'll always want to wet it to prevent little dry socket bubbles. Once you've successfully completed your first relief cut, you'll want to work the little fingers that pop down from the top of the window. These fingers look tough, but as you work them, you'll notice they do get smaller. Trim your second relief cut along the bottom of the fourth defogger line. Again, remember you would need to travel about an inch past the end of the finger. When you're trimming along the defogger lines, be sure not to cross them. If you cross the defogger lines, those particular lines will cease to work. Re-wet the window and push the finger out. Again, sometimes the edges catch, especially in the black painted borders. You may need to do a little extra trimming. These same techniques can be used on the Honda Prelude, the Acura Legend, as well as the Honda Coupe. A finger like this, you'll want to work up towards the top of the window. Once you work it towards the top of the window, it becomes substantially smaller and easier to get out. Again, remember when trimming along defogger lines, be careful not to cut through the line. You can see how easily these fingers push out once you've cut a relief cut. With all your relief cuts cut, you can concentrate on the small fingers at the top of the window. You want to push them out with a white card or a plastic putty knife. Usually you can push them out till they're approximately a ½ inch in length. At that point, you can heat them up with a blow dryer or a heat gun. We prefer the blow dryer. It doesn't have as high of a heat range and you don't take as much of a chance to melt the interior or the film. When using a white card or a putty knife, be sure not to let the fingers slip between the putty knife and the window. It will cause the film to crease. When working on a finger that is coming from a relief cut, be careful not to go across your film because you can crease your film. Once you've got the finger down to a small size, then you can begin to heat it with the blow dryer to keep it down. As you can see, this is a pretty tight curve. When working these fingers on the top, sometimes you'll be pushing them up and they will scoot towards the center of the window. It's better to chase them across the window because they will lay down that way. Always try and work these fingers towards the edge. Again, you want to keep from going across your defogger line if all possible. Once it lays down, sometimes you'll want to put a little extra heat from the blow dryer on it to make sure that the film is set in place. Now begin trimming along the lowest, most covered defogger line, trimming along the bottom of this defogger line to remove the excess film. When trimming along the defogger line like this, be careful not to rest your arm on the package tray. In doing so, you can cause yourself to scuff and cut the film where you're not trying to cut it. Once you've trimmed along the entire length of the line, remove the piece of film that you've just trimmed off. Pull another 20-inch piece of film, 62 inches long, for the second piece of film application. Once your film is trimmed, you'll want to re-wet the outside of the window. Again, because of the size of the film, it's probably easier to have an assistant help you place the film on the window. In placing this piece of film on the window, you want to overlap the bottom edge of the window approximately 1/8 of an inch. Squeegee it in place and trim off the excess film at the top. By trimming off this excess film, you relieve a lot of stress on the piece of film that you're going to be using. Remember, when dragging an Olfa knife across the window, do exactly that. Pull it across the window. Don't cut it into the window. Once you've removed that piece, it's easiest to re-wet the surface area under half the film and re-squeegee it. Therefore, you've removed all the tension of the upper piece that you removed. By pulling the film with your hand and squeegeeing behind it, you can get a truer sense of where the film's supposed to go. Some of these fingers that pop up along the bottom edge won't appear once you've trimmed off the excess film that's overlapping the molding. Now from your 1/8 inch margin at the center, you want to trim an 1/8 inch all the way along the bottom edge. When you start rounding the curve, you want to cut again halfway into the dots like you did on the upper piece along the edge, again compensating for the curve of the glass once you take the film to the inside. Another way to prevent the Alpha knife from cutting the glass is be sure and snap your blade off quite often so you have a sharp blade. When a stubborn finger like this appears, it's easy to pull the film from the edge to scoot it around to the horizontal position you want it to be in. On this lower piece of film, you're going to put one relief cut halfway down each side. Trim off any little tags that you may have missed in the initial trimming. Once you've done that, you'll want to go to the inside and re-wet the window, and then wet your film without removing the liner. Again, due to the size of this piece of film, it's much easier to have an assistant help you place the film on the inside to prevent from crinkling or creasing the film. When placing the film on the window, you want to overlap your painted borders and leave approximately 1 inch overlap onto the first piece of film. Squeegee the piece of film down as if you were squeegeeing it in place. You have an exact location when you reapply the film with the liner removed. The film won't fight you as much once the liner is removed. The liner tends to give the film a stronger memory. Repeat the same technique on the other side of the window. Once you've got your film laid down where you want it, you want to begin trimming along the bottom of the same defogger line as you trim the first piece on. The reason we trim these two pieces separately instead of at the same time is so that when you apply the second piece, it overlaps the width of the defogger line, not leaving any light gaps. A lot of shops will butt seam these two pieces at the same time. In time, where the butt seam is, you will have a light gap appear. Once your defogger line strip has been trimmed, remove the excess film. Once you're sure you have a clean cut, you'll want to remove the lower piece of film and hand it to your assistant. Since you are trimming along the same defogger line, there is a chance that you may have nicked the upper piece and caused small splinters of film to be created. So we suggest you take a scrubby pad at this point and clean in a downward motion along that defogger line to remove any of these splinters. With this process done, begin squeegeeing out any soapy water that's left on the lower portion of the window, as well as any of these splinters that you've created. You want to be sure and check your fingers for any of these small splinters before handling the peeled film. While you're squeegeeing off the water, your assistant can be peeling the second piece of film. Once you've squeegeed all the splinters in water, you want to re-wet the window and have your assistant help you install the film. Be careful not to drag the film across your towels or your sheet. When installing the film, you want to overlap it on the first piece and then slide it down so that it only overlaps the width of the defogger lines. Because you trimmed it along the same defogger line as the first piece, this is possible. Having an overlap does prevent light gaps in the future. Polyester film shrinks with age, causing light gaps on a butt seam type of situation. Notice how much easier the film lays down with the liner taken off. You want to work all your film over to the edge so you have one horizontal finger. Be sure and squeegee along the top edge first so the film doesn't slide. Once you've got all the water and bubbles squeegeed out, you'll want to squeegee the other side before trimming this side. That way you don't end up with any soap bubbles stuck in your film if the film begins to cure. Sometimes if you have fingers that curve in an angle, you can squeegee them straight down and they will disappear. But on a large finger, such as the one we're working with here, you do need to pull it up into a horizontal position where it can be cut with a relief cut. Remember to always trim between the defogger line and the finger. With the relief cut drawn, now you can go back and smooth out the finger. Again, if the edge is lifted up a little bit, you may need to trim it a little bit more. Trimming this low in the window is real tedious. Again, be careful not to drag your arm across the package tray because it could cause you to slip. Sometimes you'll squeegee out your finger and you'll get a small finger down low. Usually you can push this finger down to the bottom of the window without having to cut another relief cut. Once you've worked out all the fingers and bubbles, go along the bottom of the window with your putty knife and blow dryer and make sure no other fingers are going to pop up. It's best to wait approximately 1/2 hour before replacing the package tray and speakers in the back window. We've just shown you the tools and techniques for doing a Honda Accord rear window in 2 pieces. And remember, this technique can also be applied to Honda Prelude, Acura Legends, and several other windows that have a similar curve. You may have some trouble with this at first, but practice with it and you will be able to master this technique.